Greg Carson, former player of the Nighthawks and alumni from 1993 to 1997. Also proud member of the first Cyclone Taylor Championship team in Beaver Valley. You're listening to Hawk Talk with hosts and alumni Ross Simner, Jake Morissette, and Connor Jones. Enjoy the show, folks.
What's happening, everybody? This is Hawk Talk, episode 12. Little fall classic here, as we were just talking about. We have a really special guest today, and we're really excited to be back together. I know last episode, Jakey had he used to get the Grand Forks Border Bruins flu. We were up about 3 or 4 goals, and then he would kind of shade away. He would get a little bit sick on the sidelines. But last podcast, he was actually a little under the weather. Jakey, how you feeling today?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, the same flu from Grand Forks, sneaking over to NW before the game's over. So yeah, but no, I'm good. I'm back. I'm ready for this one. Although you're chirping me, you were away too.
No, this guy. I would pad my stats when you got Grand Forks Border Bruins flu. Just hoping it was against Summerland. Connor, you held down the fort for us last week, as you do, and big shout out to you. How was it being the king of the ship?
I don't love it. I like I'm a secondary guy. I know my role.
Second assist.
More of a depth player at this point. So but it was good. It was basically just catching up with Ari, so it was nice. But yeah, excited you guys are back.
Awesome, buddy. So we're gonna go here. We had a really special night at the arena on Friday the 20th there, I believe it was. This player, most of you either have heard about around the rink when he was a youngster coming in, and his jersey was retired. I have a great little plug here about the jersey when we get to that. From Sicamous, which kind of like just breeds awesome defensemen. Played for BV during the 03-04 season, the Vancouver Giants for 3 years after that, World Juniors included with that, third-round draft pick, and then an absolute amazing pro career for over 10 years. That is Mr. Cody Franson. How you doing, Cody?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Nice. So I'll start off real quick here. I was living in Toronto actually when you got traded here, and there was a cool thing in the newspaper that was about every player that kind of they went back in their past a little bit. Said, like tell us one. Right? I don't know. I was reading the paper back then, so grab the Toronto Star, open it up, and it was like Cody Franson. The story wasn't about the WHL; it was about his Nighthawks being in BV Nighthawks. So, I cut that out and put it on my fridge, and kind of showed everyone that was the team I played. Do you remember? As you started off there, it's a pretty amazing thing going to a town like you're from Sicamous, but how did you start off? When you went to Beaver Valley, kind of that first time you got there.
Well, I mean, it all started. So I was in my 16-year-old year. I was the last cut from the Giants camp, and when I went into my exit meeting, they sat me down. They're like, we've had Hank Deadmarsh calling us like religiously all through camp, and they're like, we know you guys plan to play junior B back home in Sicamous, but they're like, make sure you're going to play a lot, and if that's not the case, like, we think you should go to BV. Like, Hank wants you. So we're like, okay. So we went home, and I had went to camp for the Eagles before I left for Vancouver's camp, and they were like, if you end up getting let go by Van, you got a spot to play, whatever. So went to Van, was the last cut from that camp, and when I went back to Sicamous to meet with the coach, he's like, well, I'll AP you. And I was like, what do you mean you're going to AP me? And he's like, yeah, you can play midget and wear a cage, and you'll play for us pretty much all year long. I'm like, yeah, but what are we talking about? Why won't you give me a card? Like, why can't?
Just give me the half visor and the tie downs here. I know there's a certain. I probably listen to the pod a lot, but there's a certain guy.
Team. How am I not making your team right now? I don't understand this. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I got a AP card for you. That's it. And I don't think he thought I would leave for junior B. So I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to head out then. And he goes, okay. And he kind of tried to call my bluff, right? So I went home and talked to my parents. My grandpa was there, told my dad how that conversation went. And you can imagine his choice words. And so he's like, all right, enough with this. Like, let's call Hank, see if he's still got room for you, whatever. So we got Hank on the phone, and Hank goes, I've got a card issue right now, but he goes, I'll figure it out. Like, you got a spot. He goes, get in your car, get down here. We got practice at like 6:00 tonight. Like, get here for practice. And I was like, okay. So I packed up all my stuff. We were on the road in half an hour. Went, got down to BV, drove like right into the rink into practice. Met 20 guys at the same time. Knew nobody the next day for school, because when you meet 20 guys that fast, you don't remember anybody's name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest is history.
That's really I mean, gotta love that. Hank pulling the strings on that. Go ahead, Con.
That sounds so much like Hank, huh? Oh my God. Hey, I remember seeing you at school, Franny, walking around with your big chain and your huge legs. I was in 8th grade, I think. That was my first time. I think I was the only one you knew.
Yeah.
Back then.
Like, I knew nobody. So we had practice that night. So yeah, after practice, I go meet my billets for the first time. And it's like 8:30 at this point. My parents and my grandpa got to drive back that night. They got work in the morning. And so they're at the house for like 20 minutes, and I meet my billets, and they've got a daughter who was my age, and meet her, and they take me to school the next day. And it was like, I walked in with her, and I was like, Sicamous has got 120 kids in grades 8 to 12. Like, there's like 18 kids in a grad class, right? And so you walk into JL Crow, and there's like 2 levels to this school. It's stacked.
You're more thinking Fruitville numbers of Sicamous, right? But you're in high school here.
Like deer in the headlights. And when Mal's parents dropped us off at school, they dropped us behind the field house. So I'm walking across the field with Mal, and there's a group of kids over there on the right. And she looks at me and she goes, "Don't look over at that side of the field." And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "Yeah, that group of kids does not like the Nighthawks. Like, don't look over there." And I was just like, "Where am I? Like, what is going on here?" So it was, you go in, you get your counselor getting you into all these classes. You show up to every class 15 minutes late, and every class doesn't have a seat left. So you end up sitting on yourself in the back room. The craziest 48 hours I've ever experienced and everything I've ever done.
Oh man, was it good being back for the jersey retirement and everything? Had you been back in a while, or how'd that go?
I've been there since I left, 20 years. So it was actually awesome. I got to see your dad, got to see Tooch, got to see Hank, and Teekers, like so many different people. I got to see my billet mom, Louisa, and all the family that I got to know while I was in town there. Ended up getting to go have a coffee at Noni's place and do all that. So it was an awesome trip, to be honest. It was quick, like 24-hour kind of thing, but you're driving down memory lane, right? Like I got into town at 4:50, and I was at the Colander by 5:00. I had to hit the Colander. I got out of the Colander at 5:50. Dropped the extras because my wife was like, "If you're going to trail, you have to bring me back to Colander." So I grabbed extras, threw it in my hotel room fridge, and then I was in BV by like 6:12. But honestly, I couldn't remember how to get to the rink. I literally had to plug in the arena into the GPS. Couldn't remember because it's tucked back into the subdivision, right?
Well, from trails, there's 2 different routes, right?
Yeah,
Come off the Bluebird or whatever. Geez, it's a tough place to get to.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people getting lost in Fruitvale.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Hank and Tooch and Jonesy were giving it to me a little bit for not remembering how to get back into the rink. But walking down.
Really quick before Jakey jumps in, number 88 was the retirement number, and talking to a longtime listener, big time fan, Mr. Paul Matucci, and apparently the story is with the numbers, the whole team had these very big numbers because Hank thought they looked busy bigger. Is that about right? So all the numbers were like 50, 62, 48, 88, 76, and they were Hank said they looked busy bigger. And you guys got chirped a lot.
8 when I was there. Like, my number was 8. And they made these like third jerseys that year. We had these cool orange third jerseys that year. And for those third jerseys, he made everybody have a number with 2 numbers because he thought it made us look bigger. So
busy bigger.
Yeah. So when we wore our normal jerseys, I wore 8, and then when we wore the orange ones, I was 88. It's funny that they retired the 88. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, because Jake Morissette's. I mean, he's number 8 too. I know when I got traded there at 19, he was as you said, an AP player, and it was like, listen, welcome to the team. He's a 19-year-old guy, although this kid over here has number 8, and I was like, what? And then he's just the best player in the league. So there goes my retirement number as well. So, Jakey.
Yeah, I got 8 by default too. When I started, Hank asked if I wanted 15 or 8, and I told him I'd take 15. He said, "Oh, sorry, 15's taken. You're going to be 8." No, you talk a little bit about getting back and reminiscing, seeing like Hank and Jonesy and all those people. Just like what are your memories like of playing with the team and the guys that you played with? Or I don't know if you have any more Hank or Tooch or Jonesy stories.
It was awesome. Like, I mean, I grew up Sicamous, small town feel, just like Fruitvale. Maybe even more so in Fruitvale. Like, that place is pretty small, but all of a sudden they get this great little following for the junior B team. There's so many different memories when you go back, like walking down that hill before and after games. I remember I spent a ton of time with Chris Vassos and Josiah Anderson that year. Like, that was when like 24 came out. Like, I'm really dating myself here, but when 24, that TV show first came out, that, like, we go to school and then it was like back to their basement to crush 24. Like, yeah, it's just so many different events. Like, my billet house ended up being the place we kind of hosted the parties. My billet family was amazing. We always, whenever we had some team function we were doing, they'd order like 10 pizzas and do all that. So it was great to see them. And I was having breakfast with Louisa and we were talking about all that kind of stuff back in the day.
So you guys had a pretty diverse. You had a decent amount of locals as well. Like I was saying before, when in that year, I guess call you guys the Boom Brothers. I know old Hank Deadmarsh used to slide you the old CCM one piece once in a while, right? Kind of like shush, because he had a clapper, right? And the guy beside you with the clapper was Big Trav Harding, right? So you guys used to kind of, still. And listen, let's be honest. We know Hank loved a good clapper, right?
Yeah.
He'd be able, you're getting one of those things where, like Jake used to win these Flaro sticks for being the best player all the time. Those things were like wooden or whatever. Then there's this branches one piece that came up. I'm sure you remember that, Jake. It kind of got rotated around the room, but you guys were getting one piece CCMs from Hank, and but as a bigger D-man, you had like I said, a pretty good senior core of players too. So you had some leaders on that team you probably learned a few things from. Is that about right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
hopefully good things.
Tooch was busting me up when I got back into town there. He goes, "Do you remember how bad you were in the first game?" And I was like, "No, was it that bad?" And he's like, "You were terrible." He goes, "We had our wood chopping event the next day." And he goes, "I never seen a guy chop more wood than you because you felt so bad for playing that horribly." And I was like, "I remember chopping wood, but like, I don't remember it being that bad." I asked him, I go, "How long did it take me to figure it out?" He goes, "Next game, I put you with Harding and everything was fine." So yeah, no, I definitely learned a lot from Hards. He was a great vet for back in the day. We had a couple of good guys. We had Donnie Wilson, him and his brother Craig. They were awesome. Jordan Holmes was there, but he hurt himself earlier in the year. He didn't end up sticking around the whole time. And then we had some other guys come in like Walter.
Like this guy that just came into the chat right now, old Trav Harding.
Oh, there he is.
How's it going?
Our timing was incredible there.
Oh yeah.
Harding, how you doing,
Sure
buddy?
it was. Good. How you boys doing?
Oh, we're just talking about you probably haven't paid tax on those free CCM one pieces that you got slid over after you decided to come back to the squad in your 20-year-old year, and how Hank just loved the boomer slap shots from you and Franson coming from the point.
Oh, Hank loved those, that's for sure. Franny had a good snapper back then.
Other guy. So Hards, you obviously you were living away at the beginning of the year. You came back. You had as here comes Matucci says that you had a couple of requirements. I don't know if the sticks are part of that, but you get back and you got this guy You got this guy Cody Franson there, you know, a younger D man, and you're sitting there kind of going, "We got a bit of a team now." Yeah, is that kind of how it worked out?
Yeah, it worked out that way with Franny for sure, and we had ourselves a hell of a goalie in Ryan Riddle. So, goaltender, that's where it all starts, especially being a defenseman. Franny knows that all too well.
Oh,
And
big time.
yeah, so that was huge, right? And having Franny as a 16-year-old was incredible to watch, right? I mean, he had those silky hands already. He could skate. He's a big man, but he wasn't awkward at that point already. Where most kids at 16 are still pretty awkward if they're 6'4" and 6'5". They don't have that stride yet. So Franny was pretty smooth.
Well, you're the first guy to ever say something nice about my skating, Hards. So thanks, man.
Well, talking to a guy who's a pretty brutal skater. So
Hards, do you remember the grids? Every time we played Castlegar, they couldn't beat us, and every time we'd go up the ice, they'd send a guy going the other way to try and jump Riddle. You remember that?
yeah,
That was
I remember.
huh?
I remember in play. I think it was playoffs, and I think
Yep.
they had ran Riddle for one shift, and we had a face off just outside of our blue line. And I told Donnie Wilson, make sure you win this draw. And he won it straight back to me, and I fired one right there, coach. And that was the last time they ever ran him.
Yeah, that's right. I'll never forget.
Shout out to Ryan Riddle, man. I played with him the year before, actually. He went up to BV there, so I'll have to connect with old Riddle. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember earlier in that series, they started doing that. And we broke out of our zone and moved the puck up ice. We started following the play up ice, and Riley Hickachey, who was a buddy of mine, started going back the other way. I ended up having to go and fight Riley Hickachey in that game for just something completely obnoxious.
Yeah, that sounds about right for something Castlegar would do back then.
I feel like things changed a little bit since then, but that's all right.
It was pretty fun though.
Yeah, good times.
How you doing, buddy?
Jakey, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, good to see you. Been way too long, my man.
It has been way too long, man. How's Jonesy doing?
I'm doing good, boys. Great to see you guys. It's been a long time. Hards, I remember that when you fired that puck in there. It's funny because I was like on the bench. I just remember watching both you guys play and then hearing about obviously after the game about like all the little things like, God, you see Franny and Hards out there today? These guys are unbelievable. Like I remember
I don't know if it was me so much, more Franny, I'm sure.
I swear, the chemistry was crazy. And Franny, I don't know, like what did you feel like that first time when you were paired with Hards? Was it just like, oh man, it feels natural?
Well, it was like, honestly, it was literally night and day because I can't remember who. Tooch and I had literally just talked about this. He put me, might have been Copeland, I want to say. He put me with Copeland in the first game, and we were kind of all over the place. Nothing seemed to flow. We were forcing everything. Couldn't really break out of our end. Had turnovers. Like I was pissed. And Tooch doesn't pull any punches, and like he let me have it. I walked into the back after that game, and Hank gives it to me like Hank always used to, and they were all yelling at me. And Louisa was talking to me at breakfast the next day after we talked, and she goes, "Oh yeah, I remember when you came home after that. You're like, you came in the house and you go, I think I'm going to get cut. I think they hate me." And Louisa's like, "No, if Hank's yelling at you, that means he likes you. You're like, you'll be okay." So the next game they put me with Hards, and everything just got easy all of a sudden. It was like all of a sudden we had flow. Everybody was starting to be where they were supposed to be. It was because we were more predictable as a pairing, and guys could read off you a little easier. And then all of a sudden, you start creating that kind
of. You both had 3 1-pieces, rock and clappers playing 40 minutes a night.
Franny had a legit NHL shot back then. Oh my God, you beat anybody. Youngest guy on the team snaps it anywhere from in that.
Oh yeah, the shot
lines.
Back then. Yeah.
Hey, Franny, I'm sure when you're watching the ceremony, you're like, God, this blue line is close to the net. Like it's any good scoring chance anywhere on the ice past the red line.
Oh, 100%. Like it's close. Everything out there is tight. And then you get behind that bench and you're like, God, I forgot how tight this bench was. Like it seems like a lot of stuff in that building has changed. It looks like they've updated quite a bit, but that bench hasn't changed one bit. Like not in the slightest. it was literally like being 16 years old again, stepping out back there. But yeah, that 24-hour trip was a lot of fun. That was definitely a memory lane trip for me.
What were you feeling when, obviously your jersey got up there or the numbers got up there? Like, what was the first thought? Like, hey, I'm proud of this, or proud of my career, or what kind of were you thinking?
Well, anytime you get something like that, it's an honor. Like, you can say, oh, well, it's junior B or whatever, but people don't understand. Like, the game's changed a lot since we came up. Like, when you played junior B as a 16-year-old, that meant you were on the right path. You know what I mean? Like, that league was tough back then. There was good 20-year-olds. The league was older. You were only allowed 2 16s at that point. Like, at that point, it was well before the academies came in. So that was definitely something I was proud of. It wasn't easy to be good in that league, and I was telling Jonesy this. I was like, you guys don't understand how much that helped playing in Beaver Valley that year, learning everything I learned from those two. I watched that BV game that other night, and it took about a minute and a half to realize they're still running the exact same systems that they ran when. Like, I was like, these guys are going D to D, hitting the middle of the ice, going up the wall, coming from underneath. I'm like, it's simple stuff, but you can tell they're playing an actual system and they're coached up on it. Like, guys aren't out of position. They're running the right routes, and there's method to what they're trying to do on their forecheck and in the O zone and what they're trying to do on breakouts. Like, nothing's changed. They're coached very well. The kids buy in. And when you're going on to play major junior after that, that goes a long way. Like, I walked into a situation where I had Don Hayes, the head coach in Vancouver, and Don was as hard a coach as you can find. Like, we were 2-hour practices every day, like old school, loved having a fight in practice and all that kind of stuff. Like, going through what we went through in BV prepares you for something like that as best you can be anyways. So I'm super thankful for my time there, and to have an honor like that, it meant a lot to me. My folks weren't able to get time off work to come up there and be a part of it, but they're definitely super proud. And it was funny, we were sitting in there in the coach's room after, and then Jonesy goes, so your boys are going to play for BV, not Sicamous, right? I was like, oh yeah.
They're trying to throw an AP card on him, right? That's no good there.
Yeah.
Don't talk so down about that AP card, eh? Some of us had to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really cool to hear you talk about how it helped with your development and stuff. Obviously, it's like really competitive team always too. What was your guys' like run like? You guys had a pretty good playoff run, didn't you? Like, you guys played in like a weird 3-way playoff final or something, didn't you?
Yeah, they had a weird format that year. I remember that. We ended up winning in Soyuz. We won the K, and then we lost in, where were we? We were Powell River or Campbell River or something. Hards? Where was that? Campbell River.
In Campbell River. Yeah, it was the semifinals for the Cyclone back then, because you played the VI, I guess it was back then first.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a funky playoff where it was a round robin between the 3 division winners.
That's crazy.
But even winning the KI, we didn't get to host the final game. So you just got to host because they won the round robin. I remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys beat them in Soyuz, right?
Yeah, we beat them in Soyuz. Yeah.
How was that? How was that? That must have been a bit of a spectacle down there.
Well, weren't we down 3-1 or something in that game?
Yeah, we heard about that.
We were down, and Jonesy made a hell of a speech going into the third, and we came out like a batter to hell for that third.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up winning 5-3. Or it was 5-3. I think he scored an empty netter to win by 2.
I remember Hank coming in, and he was, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, it's time to get like aggressive. Like, we lose this thing, there's no tomorrow. Like, spend it all. Like, finish everything, just get mean. And it was like, that's exactly what we did. It was like everybody drank a Red Bull for the third period. We were going 300 miles an hour, just trying to label people.
Yeah, we had a great third period to come back and win. That's for sure.
Franny, you're not even that old, and you already dating yourself. Red Bull, you're talking, right? Other guy. I love it.
Thing back then, it might have been like 5-hour energies or something. I can't even remember.
Also, I think it's really great. Like, obviously, building up this, the Nighthawks alumni, Connor, to speak on it more and stuff. It's like, no matter if you played there for a year, I played there for a year, you played there for a year, a lot of guys played there 3-4 years more, but everyone learned something pretty, as you said before, like, you took something from that and were able to use it somewhere later on in your life or your career. For you, as transitioning into the next stage. Trav, I know like you left, you came back. It was a big thing for you. How did that decision come about?
It was so much fun in Beaver Valley. It was always it was tight knit, right? And it was tough to leave to begin with, and it just worked out where it was meant to be, right? It was meant to be back there for my 20-year-old year. I don't regret it for a second. It was awesome. It was unreal
Yeah,
playing that 20-year-old year. It was. I tell everyone to continue playing junior hockey because it's something you're never going to experience again, and you can't get those years back. So
yeah, exactly. Like we said, Franny was saying, like 20 years later, it's like doing a jersey retirement, but also getting to see a guy like Hards and these guys. Connor, remember him as a little shit running around, grade 8 at school. But it's pretty special. Beaver Valley's got you know, no matter, it's Fruitvale's small, and Beaver Valley's small team with a big heart and lots of awesome fans and everything. And everything from the billet parents to the way the organization's run. You really you feel a part of it. I think you feel a part of it for life as well, which is pretty awesome. That's why it's just great having both of you here.
Well, it's great. I mean, Jonesy's still coaching there. Like that program's as good as it. How many years has he been there now? He's 26 years or something like that. I think he said when we were down there. Like,
Guy's got over 1,000 wins.
it's crazy. Like they're good every year. That guy, like I said this to my dad when I got home. I was like, if I ever got a coaching job, I think Jonesy's the first guy I'd call. Like, okay, where do I start? Like, how do you do it? It's like, yeah, he's coached junior B for that long, but I feel like that guy could go into any junior team or American League team and hit the ground running with everything he's done. Like, he's obviously super knowledgeable. He knows how to work a room. He's demanding, but he knows how to walk that line of being demanding, but having every guy in the room want to be able to run through a wall for him. You know what
With
I
a
mean?
little side gig of a principal too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's crazy. But
That's incredible.
yeah, they've got quite the setup going down there, and like Hart said, that I feel like that team has been close every year since before I was there and after I was there. I walked into the dressing room when I got in there, and the guys were still doing the same like songs and dances and stuff through stuff that we were doing. It was like, oh my god, I am 16 years old again.
I've just thinking about my dad of being in like with Hank and Tooch. And going back there Hards. I mean, it's such like a community, and the winning culture they have. It's never changed throughout. It's just gotten better and better. And the fact that Franny, you were talking about learning stuff from Tooch and my dad, and sure the league's changed a little bit, but it's still that team has the same identity and the same kind of group of character guys always around, and it speaks volumes to what the whole Nighthawk organization's done over the last kind of 40 years, right?
100%. Well, and the funny thing is like they don't just accept success either. Like I was at that game, and you go back into the coaches' room with those guys after each period, right? They were up 2-0 or 3-0 in the first. They got a few late, and he's like, "Yeah, we're playing okay. This guy's doing this guy's doing that. We're just not getting a lot of motion off the puck, whatever." Come in after the second period. I think it was 5-0. I don't think we're playing very good tonight. Like just they're up 5-0 in a game where the team doesn't have a chance, and it's just like he could care less about the score. It's like this guy's not doing that. We're not moving well away from the puck. Like all the little details that matter in creating success. That's what he's looking for. It's like I could care less that we're up 5-0. There's certain things I'm seeing that I'm not liking, which is awesome because that's how you take steps forward as a group, right? It's like not being content and all that other stuff that goes with it. Like you start to learn those things from a coach like your dad at a young age. Then when you go to play junior for a hard coach like Don Hay, it's like, well, I already know this. Like if you have 2 points in a game, don't get too excited because he's about to yell at you.
Yeah, the expectations are always high.
I think like the leaving legacy with that too, like the character building that you get with that type of team living away. I know it's different types, different cities and stuff like that for junior, but man, you're with those guys all the time, right? And you're having it's you got to be a part of something special, and you got to buy into the program, and and you grow big time out of it as well. And you got local guys like Trav and Jake and Connor there, and other guys coming in, and it's like you're either part of this or kind of see you later. So, being it's been absolutely fantastic having you guys on. I know like it's been a long week or weekend, I guess, for you as well. Hopefully, you got a little bit of that colander left over. It freezes really nice, so every time my mother-in-law, which is Travis's mom, flies out, she has a nice freeze pack for us. So we get frozen colander coming. I think in about a week and a half from now she's coming out. So I'm looking forward to that. But
Nice.
yeah, fantastic having you guys on. Trav, amazing seeing you, buddy.
Been too
great
long
seeing
for
you guys. Thanks for
everyone.
doing this.
Yeah, this has been great, guys. Appreciate it, and hope to see you at the golf tournament next year in the banquet. I know Franny, you were planning on coming down, obviously with the fires and all that, but it was a good time. It'll be good catching up with all four of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. I think your dad was talking about that. I think we're going to be able to make that work for next year.
Perfect. I can bet that you're probably a really good golfer, no?
I can get it around a little bit. Yeah, not.
Oh boy, if you and Trav line up together, everyone's in trouble. Then this guy.
Well, put
I
us in
don't play anymore.
at us, boys.
Yeah, I've heard that before, buddy.
Oh yeah,
Thanks
that's how I
again.
play.
Hey, congratulations again on Big 88 being retired. It's a beautiful orange jersey. And everyone out there in Beaver Valley, Nighthawks alumni, we hope you enjoyed this episode. It's great having this crew on, and have a great one, everyone.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes.
Thanks, boys.
Guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Former Nighthawks player and captain Morgan Peace from the 2017 to 2020 seasons. I hope you're enjoying the show. Make sure to follow us on social media at BV Nighthawks Alums and to visit our website